In 1991, directors Jean-Pierre Jeunet and Marc released their feature debut, Delicatessen, a dark comedy about a dystopian future where the tenants of an apartment building enjoy unconventional meats from their butcher landlord. 4 years later, the duo is back for another visually stunning, darkly funny, dystopian sci-fi story with The City of Lost Children. This imaginative fairy tale involves a mad scientist who kidnaps children in order to steal their dreams and halt his aging. While the creative visuals make for a rewarding movie experience, the decision to adapt this into a video game is one that perplexes me to say the least. I understand movie adaptations were a dime a dozen throughout the 90s, but this? A semi-obscure, surrealist French film that contains few, if any, video game trappings? Well, the folks at Psygnosis, who were most famous for the Lemmings franchise, decided to develop and publish a game version, which was released for the PlayStation and PC in 1997. We'll be looking at the PS1 version today, but the PC edition is a straight port with no discernible changes.
Many children disappear, kidnapped.
The game opens with a grainy cinematic featuring a boy being kidnapped by the scientist thugs, and then we're introduced to Miette, who will be guiding through the entirety of this point-and-click adventure game. We begin in the classroom where Miette is given a task by the evil headmasters to steal from the cashier's hut, and right off the bat you'll notice those classic tank controls. Given the game only took me about an hour and a half to complete, using a walkthrough for reasons I'll get to in a bit, I could never get used to these controls, but everything was made so much more frustrating since Miette would freak out every time she even grazed a wall or object. After leaving the classroom, you talk to this guy who gives you the key to get into the cashier's hut, but you're going to have to distract him first in order to get in. Through the alley, you'll find yourself in a maze-like area of docks and catwalks, which does a serviceable job of mimicking the industrial aesthetic of the film. The pre-rendered backgrounds are good for their time, but herein lies another one of the game's many problems. See, you have to go down here to pick up this hairbrush to use later, but how are you ever supposed to find this on your own without some kind of walkthrough? There's no indication that there's something there to pick up until you're right on top of it. This happens for nearly every key object in the game, and coupled with the overly obtuse puzzles and confusing areas to traverse, a walkthrough is a must for getting through it. So Miette needs to get the night watchman away from his post so she can steal from him. Naturally, the best way to do this is to head over to the lighthouse and sabotage it by smashing the breaker box with a pipe. The watchman comes to check it out, and Miette has to hide behind these crates or else be caught and thrown into a warehouse. This took me entirely too many tries to complete, as you have to position her in just the right spot and tell her to crouch before the watchman gets too close.
And don't think I'm gonna let you off lightly. Gotcha. 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 Gotcha.
By this point, the wretched controls, muddy visuals, all too frequent load times, and frustrating gameplay were enough to make me want to throw in the towel, but as a fan of the film, I wanted to see this thing through. With the watchman distracted, Miette can now head back to his house and steal his stuff, but first there's another puzzle to contend with. Remember that invisible hairbrush we picked up earlier? Of course, the best way to turn off an electrified closet is to jam the hairbrush into the cash register. After that's taken care of, we grab the junk and cue a cutscene.
I've got it!
Here we're introduced to Ron Perlman's character from the film, and as you can see, the likeness is uncanny. After he tussles with the watchman, Miette heads back to school and begins her next assignment.
Help me search for brother.
No time! Got to join Pierre!
This time, Miette has to rob a loan shark, but before we can head off on our journey, we have to take this bag of marbles in the back of the classroom. It should be noted that this game is also loaded with unnecessary items to fill your inventory as well, adding to the frustration factor. Of course, I couldn't manage to navigate Miette to the back of the classroom and grab the marbles and leave before the mistresses got pissed and threw me in the cellar. This can happen 3 times before you get a permanent game over. Out of the cellar and back into the alley, the next thing to do is head into the kitchen where there's a kid making a potion. You trade the marbles for the potion, then give it to the guy outside who passes out.
Your wine is very wrong.
Miette grabs the door handle and sausage and heads into the room at the top of these stairs. This is a good time to point out how many stairs there are in this game and how long it takes her to travel up and down them. If you pick this up for some reason, be prepared to deal with a lot of stairs. So we use the doorknob, enter the house, and pick up the courtyard key. Back in the alley, we're sure to give the dog the sausage, or else opening the door beside him will make him bark and wake up the sleeping guy, and it's back to the cellar. As if it wasn't difficult enough to figure out where to go, how are we supposed to know that this is even a door? Through the door is a new area where you'll have Miette steal some pliers from a mechanic, steal a bell, then use the bell to drive a man to madness and commit suicide off the side of the pier.
No! My ears!
Up some more stairs and you'll find yourself in the loan shark's office, where you'll have to unlock his safe by placing a smaller model of the safe on a scale, because sure, why not? Cutscene time. The Cyclops man attempts to capture Miette, but she falls into the water and wakes up in a room with a periscope and a sleeping man. You find a piece of wood in these crates if you're using a walkthrough, and you use it to keep this switch pulled. We grab the key from the shelf, knocking out the sleeping man in the process, and use it to get out of the room. After heading through some more stairs and catwalks and finding a hidden lighter, Miette ends up in a small courtyard area with a small well and a bunch of junk laying around. Near one of the piles is a candle, and you use the candle with the lighter to burn the rope and make a box fall into the well. There's also a pair of scissors on the table by the rope, but if you use them to cut the rope, you'll get thrown into the cellar, so there's another sly FU from the developers. After the falling crate distracts the woman, why would you have a crate dangling above an open well anyway? You go into this bar where you find one and hatch a plan to escape, but first you need to find a map and compass. Miette ends up in another new area of the city, where she'll first have to steal this guy's paintbrush, climb some more stairs, grab an empty can someone left on a windowsill for some reason, and then find this guy guarding the docks, smack him in the face with the paintbrush to blind him, and cause him to fall over the side, most likely killing him. Then give the fisherman at the end of the pier the can, and he tells you that the tattoo artist has the map. It's at this point I became completely lost and wandered around for about 15 minutes trying to find the tattoo artist, but I finally did, and after brutally knocking them out, Miette gets the map. In this same area, there's an atomizer and some junk, hidden, of course, which we'll use in just a bit. To get the compass, Miette has to find this guy who runs a flea circus. You knock over his jar of fleas, and they jump onto the man's clothes, and after that, you have Miette play a music box, which presumably causes the fleas to kill the man. You use the atomizer on the corpse to make the fleas go away, and boom, there's the compass. Now, we just have to find one at the docks, give him the compass and the map, and that's the end of the game. It's a bit anticlimactic, if I'm going to be honest. Let's take a look at the game ending. And here's the ending of the movie. All in all, I would say it was a good attempt at adapting this movie into a game, although I think there were some fundamental failures. The gameplay was pretty horrendous. The mechanics were weak. And other than the visuals, I don't think that the game adequately represented the narrative of the movie. You had specific pieces in here that matched the movie, but there really wasn't any kind of cohesive story to follow. It was more just like, hey, remember this from the movie? That's in here too. I would say if you're curious to give this a look, it's probably not worth it, considering copies on eBay right now are pretty expensive. All in all, I would say this is one of the more bizarre video game adaptations from a movie, but I'm glad I played it. I just can't say as I had a great time with it. I know it's been a long time since I made one of these videos, and after I saw this game, I just decided I had to do it. If there's any other movie games that you want us to cover, let us know in the comments and we'll definitely look into it. I'm thinking about bringing this series back full time. If you like this video, consider giving us a like and subscribe to our channel. We got new videos that pop up, podcasts, trailers, clips, all kinds of fun movie related stuff. And for more, head over to our website at filmpulse.net. My name's Adam Patterson. We'll see you next time.